Hi everyone, it's Louis here, the host of the Wyre Music Podcast, the show that takes you behind the scenes of the UK music industry. This podcast is all about giving artists and music industry pros a platform to share their stories. And I'm really excited to introduce today's guest on episode 3. He's a musician, he's been touring in the past. He's been involved in record companies. He's runs 3 businesses, I believe, and we're going to talk about that today. It's Scott Garrett. How you doing, pal? You okay?
I'm brilliant. How are you, mate? It's been a while since we talked. And can you call me a musician if I'm a drummer? But yeah,
Hey, listen. We're in the drummers union right now, and in fact, I remember who was. Well, I remember you playing. I can't remember who the band were that you were playing. So, just remind me who was the band that you played for in Kiddie? I know there a few, but there's one in particular. When you say the name, I'll be like, right, that's them.
yeah. So it was a band called B Movie Heroes.
Yes, B Movie Heroes. Now I remember because we just discussed our fair that you're a few years younger than me, and I remember I started playing drums a little bit later. So I think I started playing when I was like 18. And I remember I remember going to a gig where you were playing and I watched you play and I was like, right, that's the level. That's what a drummer does. I need to be as good as him. And, you know, well, I've been playing on and off like 25 years and I still think I'm nowhere near. But yeah, B Movie Heroes. But yeah, cool. And then, yeah, so tell us about before we go into the business stuff, tell us about your journey as a musician and a drummer, because you ended up doing you were doing some tours and stuff.
Yeah. So I've got young kids now, and what I'm always trying to get through to our kids is just having a passion for something. But I think I was quite lucky in the respect that from the age of 5, I was like, I want to be a drummer. And that was it. And literally from the age of 5 until all the way through school, up until like going, probably, well, I'm mid-40s now, I'm still like, I want to be a drummer. And I still regard myself, even though I don't even play in a band at the moment, and I haven't played drums in a few years or played a live gig, I would still call myself a drummer. And it's a passion that I've had for, since the age of 5. But I first learnt to drum from, would you remember a band called Diamond Head, who were from Stourbridge? These were
Remember the name?
yeah, so Diamond Head were a hugely influential heavy metal band. They are credited for influencing bands like Metallica, Megadeth, Slayer, all these type of like historic heavy metal bands. Basically, all say that they got their influence from a band called Diamond Head, who were from Stourbridge, which is where I was originally from. Long story short is my dad used to basically design all the T-shirts and merchandise for this band.
Nice.
And I ended up sitting on the drummer's lap, just in the rehearsal room, and he was holding the sticks in my hand and getting me to play and everything. And I was playing their historic songs like Am I Evil and all these things, which are, if you're a heavy metal fan, you'll know what these tracks are. But yeah, that's how I first got into it, was basically from that age, then going, that's what I want to do. I want to do that. So yeah, it was probably thanks to that heavy metal band Diamond Head.
Wow, fantastic. Yeah, so because who did you go touring with? You went touring with a band, didn't you, in the States and stuff? Who was that? That wasn't B Movie, was it?
No, so I did a couple of. So B Movies was the first band that probably, the first band I took seriously, and we ended up doing it full time. And when I say full time, we weren't getting paid full time for it. We were committed to it full time, and then doing any job in between tours and everything. But yeah, so it was the first band that I had that experience of doing proper hardcore touring with. I mean, the longest tour we did with that band was like 66 days, I think, in a row, and we had two or 3 days off. So
Wow.
we just brought our own van, basically just went up and down the UK everywhere and just did all of those, the toilet venue circuit tours, worked up and, did some, got a couple of records out. One record was on Undergroove Record, which I believe was part of Warner's. I can't remember at the time. At that time, I think when I totaled it up, we ended up selling something like, probably in total about 15,000 albums or something,
Wow.
different releases and everything.
Yeah.
None of us ever saw any money from it. So
Right.
yeah, no one ever got any money. But yeah, we had some money for live stuff, and we had some great experiences from it. toured with bands like the Wild Hearts and all those type of people. It was that type of Brit rock scene that we were into.
Yeah, yeah.
Then the other bands I ended up going into after that were a band called The Culprit, where that's the band I went to the States with 6 times, and we were bigger, I guess, in America than we were in the UK. We probably couldn't sell, if we go to Birmingham, we probably couldn't sell 15 tickets, but then we'd go to Texas and we'd had a good following out there.
Right.
So we did well in the States, again, just through touring again and merchandise sales. And I also played with Gypsy Pistoleros for a couple of tours as well.
Yeah, I know those guys. Yeah, okay.
Lee is such a funny guy, and he's just like amazing to tour with. I hope he watches this because he knows how funny he is. But
I have reached out to him actually to get him on, so he's on the list. Yeah, we're going to do that in the new year.
Yeah. Well, if you need me to prompt him, I'll
Thank you.
Yeah, really funny guys to tour with. But yeah, I've probably got stories which are not, probably not TV friendly.
We'll leave that for the uncut version. Awesome. So how long were you doing in terms of like all that touring? How long did that period last? Few years?
A good decade. So.
All right. Yeah. That's good.
Yeah, touring was probably from B Movies, Culprit, and Pistoleros. Yeah, it was a good decade of touring. Like I say, a lot of American tours, and then loads of stuff in the UK. I've played any venue you could think of. Probably all shut down now, all the venues.
Yeah, but that's a shame.
And then, I got to 30. I was doing another job parallel to that, which I can talk about as well. And then obviously, then it was about marriage, kids, all the different things in life. So in some respects, I don't know, I don't look back too much. I don't look back at things and go, "Oh, I wish I was doing that again." I just think it's something you just tick off and go,
"Yeah,
got to tour America, got to get albums out, got to do some massive gigs, brilliant, tick the box, and then never think about it again."
Yeah, I mean that's amazing, because a lot of people don't even get to do that. Some acts don't even get to tour the UK, so it's a huge achievement to be able to do that. Has there been any talk of like reunions with any of those bands, or is that not on the cards?
But probably not in the fact that we fell out or anything. It's just not. Everyone's doing different things in their life now.
Sure.
Like the one guy, Tom, is running an amazing. This is a singer, sorry, and the guy wrote the tracks. He's running an amazing studio in Warwickshire called Monochrome Studios. So he's already a producer. He's already away doing loads of stuff with different bands, and he's gone straight into that. Really, he's not touring again. Like everyone gets married, everyone gets kids.
Sure.
But like I said, I was doing a parallel job to it as well, which kind of took off in my 30s as well. So I started off mentoring bands as a band coach through a program called Mass Records, which I'm sure.
Yeah.
So I started doing that in my mid-20s, parallel to being in a band as well and doing all this touring. So I got pulled in to basically be a band coach to other bands who were on the scheme.
What did that kind of involve? Into what was the kind of day-to-day stuff that you were doing with that?
Yeah, it evolved over the years. So Mass started out as basically it was always called a record label when it was never a record label, and that probably confused a lot of people. You could never really class it as a record label that put traditional records out and gave bands advances. And essentially what you got from Mass was free rehearsal time first and foremost. So you get free rehearsal time, and then there was loads of business guidance and coaching available for things like how to write a press release, how to try and get you later on, how to do a social media campaign for your music, like that, how to get distribution for your music. So there was lots of coaching in those type of areas, which was available to bands, but it was never like a traditional record label. Plus, as well, Mass would work with any level and style of band. So even if a band was just starting out and they needed help in putting a chord sequence together, or writing a first melody or something like that, it would help with that. And then on the other end of the scale, it would help try and make introductions to the industry, to gigs and things like that. So yeah, it was tailored for each person, and I started out as a coach for it.
Yeah, I mean, it's, you just covering some of those points there. It sounds like lots of bands could do with that sort of help now, because I think lots of creatives don't necessarily understand the business side and what they're worth, and even social media, that's another minefield, and there's so many other bits and pieces, distribution, as you say. I'm sure licensing came into it as well. So but that was, I mean, I remember I mean, obviously it was called Mass Records, and I think even we were involved, the Murmur back then, in one shape or another, and I think we did a few sort of event stuff. So it was really good. It was really useful, So how did that evolve from there?
So like I say, it started off locally for Wyre Forest bands. That's what it was for the first few years. That's who I used to mentor. Then it got basically expanded with national funding to look after bands from as far as Leeds down to Southampton.
Oh, okay.
Towards the end of it, there was I think there was 300 bands a year coming onto the program.
Wow.
It's probably helped over the 20 years, nearly 20 years I was there. It must have helped well over 10,000 people.
Wow, it's fantastic. Yeah.
I worked for a guy called Kevin Gammond, so I was Kevin Gammond's number 2, if there's a better way of putting that, for many years, and I was mentored and coached by Kevin Gammond, who is a massive influence and music especially on me.
Huge legend.
Yeah, absolute legend. Most positive guy I think I've met in my life, and just such an inspirational character in that way. That I kind of learnt how he dealt with bands, and did all that for years under kind of Kev's guidance. And then eventually I took over from Kev when Kev stepped down.
Right. Okay.
Towards the end of the run with Mass, there was 50 staff working there, like I say, 300 bands a year. It was supporting 20 different recording studios up and down the country.
Right,
and giving them
okay.
That was the thing with Mass. It was giving studios a guaranteed income, even during COVID and things like that. So it kept it kept 20 studios open during COVID when they lost all their income.
Okay, right, wow.
Basically to keep on operating all the way through, even when they weren't mentoring or able to coach bands as well.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't realise it, because I know it was around for a long time, but I didn't realise it had got sort of that big. I mean, it's incredible, and it's a real shame that it's kind of not around anymore. I guess that was due to funding, I suppose, which is always the way with these sort of things. But
funding cuts is the best way to put it, and that's probably
what
I would say.
Yeah. No, fair enough. Well, cool. I mean, great. I mean, let's just move on to some of the other businesses that you're involved in now, Scott. So, tell us a little bit, because you've got the SGM Music Group, and that's the holding company, right? But you've got lots of sub brands within that music group. Tell us a little bit about those.
Yeah, so my passion has always been the entrepreneurship, business side, to the creative industries, and it doesn't just have to be music as well. So I've always been fascinated by things like graphic design, branding, marketing. I know that's a passion of yours as well. You're into that, and I could discuss, this whole podcast could be about licensing, and I'd love to have a further conversation with you, because I know that's your side. Licensing products, isn't it? So you're probably more up on licensing deals and law and things like that than what I would be as well when it comes to different products. But so I've been fascinated by that. I started SGM Music Group Limited to hold different brands under it. And one of the first brand that I've got under it, I'll try and move my camera, is something called RockStarSkins. Can you see those Drumheads above me?
Yep, I can see them.
There you go. This is my office here. So I basically, the first brand I started was printed drum heads for bands because I've got a graphic design background, and this was in the early days of e-commerce, which was in 2006, around those times. Look back on it now, if it was that was a really good time for e-commerce. I was one of the
Yes. Yeah.
first kind of businesses to start an e-commerce business where you could just buy a drum head off me through the internet.
Mm-hmm.
People had to pay me by check as well. First of all, I couldn't even take
Wow.
payments and things like that. So through my graphic design background, basically I learned to processing how to print onto drum heads, and I've got a partner
Okay.
years direct print onto them, and then skip forward through the years I've been doing it. So nearly 20 years for that business. I've had
Right.
clients like Robbie Williams, Judas Priest, Iron Maiden.
Wow.
Queen are my biggest client for that business, and they're a big percentage of the business because they have thousands of drum heads off me.
Yeah, because I think when we bumped into each other before, you've mentioned that they sell your drum heads on their store as well.
Yeah.
So it's not just them using them; they're actually selling them on their website, which is really, really cool, really exciting.
Yeah, well, it makes a lot of sense for a band like Queen because I don't think Queen will ever write new material again. So Queen are not going to write a new album. So their income comes from live performance and merchandising.
Yeah.
So when you look at their merchandise store, it's huge. They've got everything available, which would be a good case study for you to look at with license.
Yes.
Like that, yeah.
Yeah, funnily enough, we're doing some stuff with not directly with a few bands, but we're doing some stuff indirectly through an agent. But it's an area that for what we do, it's kind of untapped. But you're absolutely right. Lots of bands don't make money from the music anymore, or certainly from streaming. So they're looking at merchandise, and they're looking at sort of other items and live gigs that they can sell. I heard something the other day that Metallica have even got their own vinyl printing press.
Yes.
So they print their own vinyls. So they just released like limited editions or new versions of stuff. So yeah, that's the revenue driver these days, I guess. So
yeah, 100%. I mean, but even on you got bands on Queen's level, Iron Maiden's level, but smaller bands are getting into this, and smaller acts as well.
Okay,
it's something that I think is massively underutilized by bands nowadays as well, because maybe 20 years ago it wouldn't have been seen as cool to have brought out your own range of different things, but I think nowadays anything's acceptable. So I've got one here right in front of me as it happens. I've been sent this today, so I get sent a lot of products by can you remember the Wild Hearts?
Yes.
Yeah, so CJ Wildheart, who's sent me this today, has got his own brand of
Love that. Love that.
Brilliant, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, that's great.
And
have you tried it?
I haven't tried it yet.
Is it like a hot sauce? Sort of the hot wings.
Yeah. That's exactly what it is. So he's making records and selling hot sauce with his records.
Crazy.
And people,
but why not?
Well, yeah, why not? And and it's because I know that there's fans out there who might not necessarily be. CJ Wildheart and the Wildhearts are a great band. They're favourite band of mine anyway, so I'll always have a passion for that type of music. And I love CJ's music, but without knocking what CJ does, there's going to be people out there who are going to be fans of hot sauce, but not and might be passing fans of his music, but they'll be into his hot sauce and want to buy that as well. So why can't you make money doing it?
Just another revenue stream, right? If it tastes good.
Yeah, if it tastes good, and like most of these rock venues now, sometimes have like the Robin Hood have restaurants attached to them. So why can't CJ be selling his hot sauce in these places, or be selling it at different locations? Like Hard Rock Cafe.
Yeah,
It'd be the perfect place to put this stuff in, wouldn't it?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So is there any other area of I mean, obviously RockStarSkins is just skins, but have you kind of explored any other areas that could be branded within, like a stage setup? or you just stick to? I guess it's difficult when you've got, it's RockStarSkins, so it's drum skins. But
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I've expanded the business a little where we're doing backdrops and I do
okay,
printing. So I do big stage backdrops, 30-foot backdrops and everything. So I've got the capability to get those done.
nice.
Do things like printed drumsticks and stuff like that. So all the time I'm trying to look at different products that could fall under the banner to it. And yeah, there's no reason why I can't sell printed drumsticks and things like that to people.
Yeah.
Those are things to be selling on websites as well.
Yeah, no, I suppose anything that's printable, then you're the man, right?
Yeah.
Very good, exciting. Okay, well, look, we'll take a quick break, and we'll be back after this. Welcome back to the Liveway Music Podcast, the show that's shining a spotlight on fresh talent, creative minds, and unsung heroes who make the music world move. Please don't forget to like, follow, subscribe, and share this podcast to help us grow the community and keep the great music conversations flowing. I'm here with Scott from SGM Music Group Limited. Scott, you okay?
Yeah, no, I'm great.
Good stuff. So just before the break, we were talking about your RockStarSkins business, which is one of your businesses. But there's also another couple of businesses that we want to talk about. So tell me a little bit more about your other businesses.
Yeah, which one have you got on your list? Which one do you want me to start with?
What you choose. So I've got Vita Voice, and I've also got your other business.
The education stuff, is it?
Yes. So you decide.
Yeah, I'll start with the education stuff because the
Okay.
stuff can be that's kind of the last thing I've been working on and what I'm working on full time at the moment. So the education stuff was kind of RockStarSkins was first, then it was doing that in parallel to being in a band, in parallel to running Mass Records as well. So don't know how I did this.
Didn't sleep.
No, I did. There's things I was doing at. I mean, I can say now because who cares? But when I was at Mass Records, I was going out to one time I went out to Mumbai in India, and they never knew. Yeah, to pitch a music project to Nickelodeon, and basically I was doing my work remotely, and because of the time difference, it worked out well. So I was in the hotel at night time doing still doing my work, but just doing it over Zoom remotely. But no one had any idea I was sitting in a hotel room in Mumbai in India pitching a cartoon to cartoon projects through Sony to Nickelodeon.
Wow.
So, yeah, so it's doing stuff like that. But yeah, it didn't come up, unfortunately. No. But it was a good experience.
Yeah, for sure.
So I was so then I've got something called SGM Education, of which now I've done a few things through that, and essentially what that is a lot of there's online courses. So I've got a Udemy course which is ticking over and just sometimes earns a bit of money when I wake up, and you go, oh, someone in South America has bought my Udemy course, things like that, which is nice. So we've got that. I say we because there's a couple of us who work within SGM now. My partner in crime is Jack, and he works on the education side with me as well. We've also developed an online version of something similar to how Mass Records used to be, with loads of help for studios and resources and things like that.
Okay.
And that is being sold into a couple of different colleges.
Nice.
That's an ongoing thing as well, which is still earning what do you call it again? Passive income. So that's earning passive income for us as well, because that's just...
And by the way, everyone, we'll put all links to all these businesses that Scott's talking about in the show notes. So if people do want to sort of check them out, then we'll have all links for them in the show notes. So yeah, sorry, carry on.
Yeah, that's right. That's called Brand Your Band. That is. So that's again similar. It's just loads of resources, help for bands. And then it's ran through independent rehearsal studios in partnership with different colleges as well.
No, that's great. That's really good.
Slightly different to how Mass is, because I'm a bit more hands off with that, and that's kind of run by the colleges, and it's just been front loaded and resources basically designed by us for that as well.
But that's it's just excellent that those resources are available. I think, if we had that sort of stuff way back when, we probably wouldn't have made as many mistakes at the start of our careers than we would have. But it's good that the resources out there, and especially with this digital age, that people can access it. And if you don't have to be as hands on, then that's perfect. Because I guess the principles are still the same, right? So the some of the stuff you covered earlier, about distribution and about rehearsals and recording and all, those are still a pillar in the music industry. So that sort of information is vital.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, you've just reminded me of a little quick story I had from a chap called Davey, who came over once, and he was in a band called Beat Union. I'm not sure if you'd remember them from years ago, but he did really well, lives in America now, and has ended up recording people like Green Day and stuff like that.
Wow.
He's again from Bromsgrove, but he came into the college once and gave the worst advice I've ever heard, but then probably the best and funniest advice. To cut it down short, he basically said, look, when I was basically looking at contracts and everything, he said we were so held back by different managers saying, don't sign this contract, don't sign this, and everyone arguing and negotiating over every contract going. I said, now looking back at it, I really just wish I would have just signed everything put in front of me without even reading it, because I was ripped off anyway. I feel like I would have had more experiences and a bit more fun doing it. I was like, I wonder if there's anything in that. And I was like, I had to say to the students afterwards, probably ignore everything he said there, but that's really funny advice.
Yeah. I mean, it was for such a huge industry. There's today there's still an element of the Wild West out there. I know the business has changed, but the practices are kind of, in some ways, certain levels are kind of even more insidious than they were back then. But yeah, it's one of those industries, I guess. But if there's lots of money involved, then those things, it's impossible for those things to not try and creep in and happen.
Yeah.
So everyone wants to get paid, right? So
yeah, and everyone's got a course that they can sell. So our course is actually free as well. So yeah.
Perfect. So that will be in the show notes, as I mentioned. So great. Okay. So yeah, let's. We've touched on the education. We've touched on RockStarSkins, and then also you've got your Vita Voice business, which is, we spoke about that a couple of years ago. How's that going? And tell me how that came about, because I think that's a really interesting business. And tell me how you're getting on with it.
Yeah, so it's probably where I spend most of my day at the moment, is developing that. I've always been into. You can take this with a pinch of salt, because I know they are like Marmite, but I've always been into using different supplements, and I started with things like lion's mane mushroom, and that made a massive difference to my mindset and things like this. I got into that probably 6 or 7 years ago, before it was trendy.
Yes, so, yeah, it is. It is. You can't. I was just say, you can't walk through town without seeing a lion's mane these days.
Yeah. Well, I remember going into Holland and Barrett, asking them, saying, I'm ordering lion's mane mushroom online at the moment. Have you got anything? And the people in there, when I was asking, were like, never heard of it. What is it?
Right. Yeah.
So I thought, there's going to be something in this trend. Anyway, but yeah, I got into lion's mane mushroom. That was a supplement I found really beneficial for me, just because I find that I can basically, I've never gone through like an ADHD diagnosis or anything like that, but I find I'm very kind of like, okay, so one thing and then another, and I'm starting different projects all the time. And it was just one thing that really worked for me, just to keep me a little bit leveled and just kept me focused and concentrating on some things. Got into that quite, like I say, a few years ago now. And then from that, I went, there's not, you can find supplements for any sport. So, if you get into running, there's supplements for running, there's supplements for CrossFit, there's supplements for every type of, bodybuilding, things like that.
Yeah,
You can
yeah.
think of. But then I thought, well, it's not really a supplement for musicians, and is there an opportunity here? And then you think about musicians historically have the worst sleep patterns, they have probably the worst diet, and then they're people like me as well who have kind of ideas all the time and they can't focus on things, and they need get excited easily about things. And concentration levels and stuff like that. So I thought I'm going to create and brand a supplement that's for musicians. And I started talking to my wife about it, Carrie, who happens to be a clinical voice specialist anyway.
Okay, right.
She works within the NHS. She is a high-level clinical voice specialist, and she deals with all sorts of hardcore voice problems. So if you've got a voice problem, like nodules and things like that.
Okay, right.
Throat, she can strangle you. No, she hates it when I say that, things like this. But she
right.
Like
yeah.
That. Very kind of experienced, really well trained. She's an honorary lecturer at BCU in voice and things like this. So I spoke to her about the idea for a supplement for musicians. And then she said, let's do it for voice. Let's use her clinical background, her knowledge base, and my marketing know-how and my branding know-how, and let's create a supplement. So that's what we've done. Then we brought Jack on board, who is my... I always say within teams as well, because this is I'm probably like the one who goes out and does all the meetings and does all the fronting of the business.
Yeah. You're the face of it.
Yeah, I would say so, yeah. And then Jack is very, I couldn't work without Jack, but Jack is brilliant at systems, he's brilliant at organisation, he's brilliant at looking at things and planning things and taking an idea I might have and then going, right, these are the steps you need to put in place to make sure that we follow that and we've got a plan to go to. So he won't mind me saying, Jack is an introvert and I'm an extrovert, so I always think... Introverts, to me, I love working with introverts within a team setting. They're like my superpower, and they're like a superpower to a team, I think.
Yeah.
If you can get someone who's an introvert who, can focus and can get systems lined up and done, you've got a brilliant golden team there.
Yeah, utilising people's skills as well. As you say, if people are not really extrovert or good in front of people they don't know, or just in front of people generally, it takes all sorts of people to create a good mix for a team. So that's great.
I can't stand it when people try and force introverts to become extroverts as well, as if it's what you have to be, and there's all tips on how to be more extroverted, and I think, well, no, you don't have to be. Just play into what your introvert nature is, and just play to that.
Build on your strengths.
Oh yeah, 100%. So anyway, we put the team together. Carrie spent a good year researching the formulas, looking at all the clinical scientific evidence behind each ingredient. We've worked with nutritionists, we worked with a manufacturer, we worked on the branding, we worked on better market research, contacting people, trialing it, all the stuff that you would want to do for a proper good quality supplement, and then we came out with it a couple of years ago.
Nice.
So yeah, it's
fantastic. And how's it doing?
So yeah, we spent the first year trying to figure out Amazon and the platform because
yes, good old Amazon, eh?
Yeah, and this is where I think I first engaged with you, because I was just
yeah. It's a beast. Yeah. I mean, people just see they go into Amazon. I mean, it's a shop of convenience, right? That's what it is. It's selling you convenience, and people go on there and I mean, we all use it every day, and even with my day job, it's not an area I directly look after anymore, but the back end of Amazon is horrific. But when you get it right and when it starts to work, then it's a huge part of any business.
And and in some ways, I know people knock Amazon a lot, but for us, I can remember, like I say, going back to the early days of 2006, setting up the first e-commerce business, being able to set up on Amazon now and come up with your own brand, and be able to come up with something in a product and being able to launch it, the tools are there for everyone to be able to do this.
Yeah.
It's a level playing field for anyone to be able to do it. You've just got to have good products, good branding, good know-how, and the products has got to be good for it to sell. So we spent first year learning the ins and outs in Amazon. Then we've built up the Shopify sales in the second year. We've done it a strange way round because we've created a product that people don't Google. First of all, people don't go onto Google to find a preventative vocal health supplement because it didn't exist in the UK.
Yes, right.
So the plan was, well, let's launch it on Amazon, build up the customer base on Amazon, and then we reverse engineer Google from that, which is what we've done now.
Yeah.
Now at a point, we're in year 3 now. We've got something called, you'll know about this I'm sure, but we've just got EIS status. So SEIS we've run out of, and we've got EIS status now for the business.
Okay, it's great.
Because what we're on is something, we're on a funding accelerator to try and scale up the business now for the next 5 years. And we're talking to angel investors, VC investors.
Okay. Yeah.
Investors. And that's where we are. We've proven we've got amazing reviews on Amazon and all across the board, and people saying it's really helped them as vocal coaches. It's really helped them as actors. It's helped with their voice health in general. So people have been able to gig for longer, and they've not had illnesses or had to cancel gigs.
Wow.
We've made a massive...
Do you know what it sounds like to? Sorry to jump in this, Scott, but it sounds like a Dragon's Den opportunity. Have you ever thought about that?
Thought about it, yes. I won't lie, I have thought about it, and I've heard too many horror stories from other founders who've basically said,
really? Just don't give more than 10% and you're all right.
Yeah.
That's basically the rule. Go in there with height, show the proof of concept, and just don't give away more than 10%. But that's easier said than done, right?
Yeah, you can't value, because their valuations are all based on literally
profit,
your revenue. Yeah, and that's it. They don't
yeah.
really take. When you're trying to invest or trying to raise for a business in a true sense, your valuation is based on all sorts of different things.
Yeah.
Like I say, we're trying to raise 20% equity in it at the moment, and we've had some great conversations with investors currently. We're part of the way through the raise now, but that's the 5-year plan. But raising money for us, we're in a lucky position where if we don't raise the full amount, that's okay. It just adds years to the business. That's all it is. The business is still going to continue and still building organically regardless anyway. All a raise would do for us is basically pump loads more money into things like meta ads, expanding into things like that.
Yes.
And what we do in a 5-year time frame would probably take 10 years without the raise. That's all it is.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. No, but it's very exciting. I mean, you've got proof of concept, and you're getting the recommendations, and you're getting the the feedback from people who are using it, and it's helping. So it's doing its job. It's just getting that message out there, and sort of getting your costs under control, and sort of allow it to. I guess that's the other thing. Sometimes it's from a business point of view, it's hard to push outside the organic kind of growth. And that's where the risk can be sometimes, because you over index on marketing or whatever it may be, and that may not be the right answer at that time. But ultimately, it's a risk you have to take, as you say, if you're trying to get there quicker, so to speak. But no, I mean, best of luck with that. That's really, really exciting, and you've clearly got it up to a level where where that's an option. So that in itself is no mean feat, really. So congratulations on that, and good luck. That's really cool.
Thanks, mate. It's exciting, and like I say, I'm appreciating the buzz of getting up every morning and thinking, what can I do to help build this business today? That's what gets me up in the morning. It's just it's exciting. Exciting things happen in this business. Like every week, like today. Like last week, I didn't know today. I've been at the Birmingham Hippodrome today, dropping off stuff for for Christopher Biggins and Steps, and people like who've contacted us through through Instagram, basically
Great.
say, see your adverts, it looks great. Can we trial it? Can we give you a review? Things like that. So they're
Okay.
contacting us now, which is ace. I love it.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean,
so
that's always the best form of marketing, isn't it? Recommendations. That's just, that's as old as time, isn't it? Whatever the product is. So that's really fantastic that people are trying it and it's working. That's really. So is it just the voice supplement you're doing at the moment, or is there any plans, or have you done any other kind of supplements for in this space?
So yeah, we've got that's the voice supplement. That's the hero product that everything was built on.
Nice.
And it's got lion's mane in it as well. Going back to
Okay.
that. But it's got everything in it that a high quality multivitamin would have.
Mm-hmm.
But we've added loads of things like lion's mane mushroom, lemon balm, ginseng, grapeseed extract, elderberry. All things that keep immunity and keep inflammation down in your voice, basically.
Okay.
On its,
yeah. And it's all 100% natural, isn't it? Everything's 100% natural. Yeah.
100% natural, yeah. It's a food supplement. Other products that we've got, we've created another sub-brand called Vita Beat, and we've got what's called a copper patch for drummers. And it's like a pizza patch that, how a lot of people use copper bands on for joint care. A lot of people benefit from that. We've got a copper patch that basically seeps into your bloodstream and heats up, and we've had so many good reports on that as well for drummers' joint care, basically. But it doesn't just have to be for drummers; could be for tennis players and things like that. Obviously. But we've pitched out at drummers.
Wow, that's fantastic. Were you involved in the National Drum Show a couple of months ago?
Yes, we had an exhibition there. Yeah.
Oh, okay. And how was that? How was that for you? What did you go with? Did you go with the Skins and with the Vita Voice, or?
Yeah, we did. Had two stands next to each other. And,
nice.
Carrie had her Vita Voice t-shirt on, and I had my RockStarSkins t-shirt on. So, yeah, it was good.
Great.
We met Al Murray, which was really good, and he's taken a lot of product as well.
Yeah, because he's a really good drummer, isn't he?
Yeah, good drummer.
Yeah.
And investor in businesses as well. He's,
okay.
An investor in British Drum Company, and he set up all of that.
Oh, really? I didn't know that, actually. Yeah. That's great.
But yeah, no.
And was that a good show for you?
Yeah, it was really good. It's sold a lot of product there, raised a lot of awareness. We did it a couple of years ago, and we noticed a huge difference. The first year we did it, people were a bit like, "Oh, right, okay, a supplement for drummers, right? As in, what is this? Who are you and all this?" And then the second year, it's third year we've done it now. Yeah, third year we went back. Everyone was like, "Yeah, it's really good." I tried it first year, looked at it, and it's almost like it's established, and people gone, "Oh yeah, it's really good."
Right.
So feedback was a lot better. You just have to get through that British psychology sometimes, which is not my experience of going to America, when literally you'll say, "I've set up a business, I'm doing this," and everyone is like, "Hey man, that's great, we love it. How can we support? How can we help?"
Right,
okay. Like, what are you trying to do? Why are you doing that?
Yeah. Who are you? What are you doing? I don't know you. How dare you?
Yeah. So that's one thing we can. I do wish we were a little bit more like our American cousins in that respect. We were just a little bit more supportive of each other's business.
Yeah, for sure.
So I try not to knock. I see new businesses starting up in Kidderminster and things like this, and I find myself going, "Oh, yeah, that doesn't look good. I wouldn't have done like this." And then you have to check yourself and go, "No, they're trying to set up a new business. Support it. It is what it is."
It's hard and it's a commitment, and it's I mean, it's having run my own business in the past. I know how hard it is because it can be all consuming. So you have to congratulate people like that for trying. And the trick is to know when to quit if it's not working. But that sounds like that's not something you've got to worry about anytime soon by the sound of it. So, Scott, look, it's been absolutely fantastic having you on. We could probably sort of talk for another hour or so, and maybe we'll get you on next year again in a future episode, because I think we've had a really good conversation. I think a lot of people will learn from it. So, I mean, all I can say is, good luck. Thank you for being on the show. We're also going to put together a bit of a music playlist. We haven't talked about music that much on today's show, but we are going to put a playlist together, which is going to have some of Scott's favourite songs and the songs that he has influenced him over the years. Yeah, thank you, Scott, for being on the show, and good luck.
Thank you as well, mate. It was really good to catch up with you again. So let's go for a beer at some point ASAP.
We'll definitely do that.